Welcome all to the NewCrown podcast. I'm Daryl, and I'm back with another episode and another guest. Today's guest is, well, you probably know her if you are part of the Filipino community, and if those who aren't familiar with her, you'll get to know her today. So, you want to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Daryl. My name is SHARI Ramos. I am one of the co-founders of Filipinos of Montreal. I don't know what else you want to know about me. I'm from Montreal, born and raised.
Okay, yeah.
Uh,
So you are from here then? Okay, yeah.
yeah. Born in Cotonej, but raised in the West Island.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
We're very very similar then.
Oh, nice.
First of all, I want to know what was it like for you growing up as a Filipino here in Montreal?
So I grew up in a very diverse neighborhood in the West Island. The schools that I went to were diverse. I had Filipino friends at school, but also I played basketball. So on the weekends, I would be in Uptown. I would be in Cotonej, and I played basketball on the weekends. So I think that was more of my introduction to Filipino culture and expanding my Filipino friend group.
Mm. So did you guys? So you're very accustomed to having different races and all that. It wasn't like a very unfamiliar thing. You kind of
No, yeah.
blended with the culture essentially.
Yeah, I think it was really when I went to CJEP where I realized that. So I guess if we're going to go to the very beginning, I went to John Abbott for creative arts, and I purposely chose that CJEP because growing up in the Filipino community, being fully immersed, you also are exposed to the toxic ways of the Filipino community, right? And that really played a part in me straying away from the community, and I wanted to disassociate after high school. So when I went to CJEP, I'm like, oh, let me go to a school where I don't know anyone. But I also happened to really like the program at Abbott, so it worked out for me. So I was literally the only person of color in my program.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a strange feeling because I being very used to being around Filipinos, like it was strange. But I took pride in being the only Filipino there. I was just like, no one knows me, no one knows my background, no one knows my history, whatever. And then when I went to university, I went to communications at Concordia, and we were only probably 3 people of color. And I think that's when I started to really develop you come to yourself, right? You get to know yourself, and you're just like, wait, why am I the only Filipino here? And I started to get really lonely because you'd say comments like, you have people like, oh, let's do something on Sunday, and I'm like, Sunday is family day and my family, and then people couldn't really grasp that concept. And it's little details like that made me realize that I had a very different experience from everyone in my friend group. So that definitely played a part.
Interesting. Cause right now, Concordia, a lot of Filipinos are going there now,
which is beautiful.
Exactly.
I'm just like, wow.
So it's interesting. It's interesting when you tell me that you're only one of 3 colored people in Concordia. It's like, well, you basically pioneered the whole I mean, you guys kind of created a whole community that's essentially from that sort of the little bubble. No, it's like Concordia started off, and then you kind of expanded over the years.
Well, I think we all started. I want to say 2019 was a big year for a lot of us.
Yeah.
So when I graduated, I was pretty stagnant. I was just, I was working. And then a friend tapped me and was like, hey, I need someone to take photos for this conference. Would you be, I think you'd really like it. I think you'd really enjoy it. and I hadn't touched the camera in so long too. And I was just like, it'd be a great way to get into it. The conference happened to be Pinoys on Parliament in Ottawa.
Oh, okay, gotcha, yeah.
Yeah, and that really expanded my mind. Like I met so many people in different fields, like different Filipinos that were excelling in different fields, and I was very unaware of that. Like people like Filipinas doing like their PhDs. Like I never heard of that before. And so when I got back to Montreal, like those same Filipinas like started a conference called they were working on a conference called Pinay Power. They had also asked me to take photos for that event, and after attending like very fulfilling conferences, you're on fire. You want to do something.
Yeah.
You want to be able to contribute, and it happened to be the year where they announced the first Filipino Heritage Month.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, sick, like we have a whole month to ourselves now. Like, what is the community doing? And the community wasn't really doing much, or I didn't see, I didn't have access to what the community was doing.
Gotcha.
And so I'm like, okay, what can I do? Like I want to, because I'm so inspired, like what can I do? And I love the work of Humans of New York. Like I'm very inspired by what Brandon does. And I thought to myself, like, we have a whole month to celebrate, like what can I do? So I decided to make a list of people who I want to meet and interview a different person every single day, so that way we are celebrating and getting to know one another every single day. And so someone who happens to be on that list was Terrie.
Oh, okay.
And so I messaged him and I was like, hey, I'm doing this project for Filipino Heritage Month. Like, I'd love to meet you, blah, blah. So I'm telling him, I'm giving him my whole spiel, And then he goes, no way. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, you can't really read, through text or whatever. And he's like, I'm working on the same project. And I'm like, that's amazing. Like, we should work together then. And then that was probably like 3 days before we started the project. And then we've been on the run.
Nice. So how that was interesting, because it started off kind of small and it slowly expanded.
Yeah.
So what was it like when you first started like interviewing these people? Like what were the questions you would be asking them? Was it more like very like in tune to their Filipino roots? Was it more towards like was it like being an immigrant here? What was like the conversations like?
Well, we prepared a list of questions for sure, but because it was the first Filipino Heritage Month, the first year that we started, the questions were around that. And a lot of them had not heard that we were having a Filipino Heritage Month. So it was introducing that concept to people. And then, what it meant, what does Filipino heritage mean to them? What does community mean to them? And I think over the years that question has evolved too. And but essentially, like, we also want to get to know people. Like, I think the best way to get to know your community is getting to know the individuals that make that community. And by doing that, you understand like what are the needs of the community too. So
I mean, you're talking earlier about the like, this was in Ottawa when you first like had this meeting, because I know like Filipinos of Montreal, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory with Montreal, but you guys also expanded towards other regions of Canada, like maybe Toronto, maybe even Vancouver.
A lot of people have asked us to do that. What I personally think, and I'm happy that Terrie and the other members of our team, may feel differently or would love to expand it. And maybe one day we will, who knows, but I think we'd love to inspire people to get to know their own communities, like, I think the best person that will know Toronto will be someone from Toronto. The best person that will know Vancouver is someone from Vancouver, Filipino from Vancouver. So and I hope we inspire people to get to know their own communities.
I don't know.
We'd be happy to do that too, you know. I'd be happy to get to know
See,
the community in Toronto and Vancouver, Winnipeg.
that'd be nice. That'd be kind of interesting. Because like I was growing up, I was in PBAM. I don't know if you know the Filipino
Yeah, the
Basketball
Filipino
Association.
Basketball League, yeah.
And that is kind of international because then like we have intercity in Canada, but also at the same time it also spans to the US. So like that organization is kind of like international in a sense where like every community has their own like inter like games, but there's also like a global sort of game when like I think once a year there's a whole season where everyone from the best of each city pulls up, and then there's like a tournament.
Yeah,
So
like people like they get all their best players into one city.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So like, that'd be interesting to have also when like having a bunch of Filipinos representing, Canada and talk about the issues they have in terms of, how they feel represented in the country, or maybe Filipinos in the US, or maybe Filipinos in, like abroad. So like, yeah, I don't know, like what was like the initial, I mean, you really kind of talked about it, but what was the goal for Filipinos of Montreal specifically? Like, what was is it to bring people together maybe, or just kind of like, it was more of a personal thing?
Listen, it was definitely a personal. we we did that whole month. We thought we were just going to do that whole month, and then things snowballed. Like because we were getting to know people, we were creating communities. We were networking with different people. Within the community, Filipino community, and outside of the Filipino community, and that kind of. What's it called? We were, invited to host and collaborate with different venues to hold events, like markets that we've been doing over the summer. So, yeah, it was definitely, it was not in our our vision when we first started, but I think we are getting to a point where like, yeah, like we're acknowledging the work that we've been doing, and we're having fun, and it's been very fulfilling.
Did you guys ever have any backlash when you guys first started? Like you talk about the toxicity of the Filipino community. Has there been like kind of like they're not really like
what that was
people,
that was my biggest fear. Like I think that's what when we before posting our first ever feature, like that was my biggest fear. I remember telling Terrie, like, oh my gosh, like the moment we do this, like it's for real. And I was scared because I know I'm not gonna lie and say like, yeah, like what we're doing is good, we're not gonna have any backlash. Like you're gonna have backlash whatever you do, right? And so I've been anticipating backlash the moment we started, but we move with really good intentions. Well, I like to think that, like I think we try to include everyone. We try to we want to make sure that everyone's voices are heard, and if they're not, we're always welcome to hear what people have to say, and like, oh, you don't see yourself, like, oh, okay, let's work on that then. Let's like, who are you not seeing? Like, let's see what we could do. And no, I think like if anything, if I don't know if I could call it backlash. I feel like everything can be resolved in conversation. And I think so far, like, yeah, I don't think we've really hit anything. Not to say that we won't, but
you're so anticipating it. You're so anticipating it. Oh, I mean, was also like so when you guys first started, because like you guys talked about like interviewing stuff in the beginning, but how did it kind of evolve over the years?
So we started off as when I first made that list, it was people that I've heard about, and that I've always wanted to get to know, because I was very interested in what they were working on or whatever. And it was also a way of like, when you go to a store, and then you have like that tita that goes, oh, that's the son of so and so, they did so and so, right? But it's like you don't even know that person, right? So I think the way I was jotting down my list was like, oh, you know what, I may have heard of things about this person, but I don't know this person. Let me get to know this person. And oftentimes, like, you get blown away because you're expecting one thing and you get a totally different side of that person, and maybe even the most authentic part of that person, right? Um, so it started out with like people that we've heard about, but now like we get people like telling us like, oh, you should meet this person. And then I think the most current series that we did, we asked people to nominate others because we're like 5 people now, and we have our own networks, but we can't reach everyone, right?
Yeah.
So we put out a call there to, if you have anyone that you want us to highlight and feature, we're very open to that. So
but I mean, like now, because like you guys have organized a lot of big events lately. Like last year, you guys did, was it the Au Pied du Courant? Is it called the one
yeah,
where like
near the bridge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have like those big like festivals and like essentially just people performing, DJs, and a couple of friends of mine who ended up performing on there, and like Cafe Kuya was also a part of it. And I was like, so like how did you kind of like? 'Cause there's a big there's a big sort of gap or like evolution between just meeting these people and then having them actually come up together and organizing this big show. So like, how was it like to organize these sort of big events? Was it very kind of like you were hoping maybe the grace of God that they'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll show up, or maybe were you kind of like trying to persuade them, paying them, whatever? What was the, or was it more like just very much I'm all for it for this community, and everyone kind of like gathered together when you just said let's do this together?
You know what? It was very much like that. I feel like a lot of people were so eager to be a part of it that it just made it so easy for us to organize.
Interesting.
Uh, I, obviously, if I hope you meet Terrie one day, because sometimes we're like the opposite, where I'm like worried no one's gonna show up, and he's like, no, everyone's gonna show up, and I'm like, okay, but no, I know people will show up. It's just that there's always that voice where
Yeah, there's always the uncertainty, but I mean, like a lot of people showed up. That's the thing. It's not
yeah,
like
I think we did not expect that.
yeah, because I know I had
We
a
did
friend of
not
mine who
expect
was
that.
complaining about like the line like on Cafe Kuya alone. It was just too long, and it was just like,
Yeah,
and there's like fireworks, and
yeah.
there's a whole event. So
Yeah,
like,
that was a crazy night. It was a beautiful night. It was a crazy night. I'm happy so many people came out. Like for us, it was so cool that we were able to create like an event where everyone is invited, and out of Cotenage, like not everyone will go to that area of Montreal. And so to bring Filipinos to Pied du Courant from different parts of the city, it was wild.
yeah,
And yeah, like yeah. When I think about that night, I'm always so like, damn, that was cool.
yeah, that's what I'm
That
saying.
was
Because
so cool.
it's massive. It's very massive. Like, what was the reaction also of like people who are non-Filipinos?
Yeah, also very cool. We did Olympic Park this summer, and again, just the whole idea of like bringing Filipinos from different parts of the city to Olympic Park, to a neighborhood that they're not familiar with, or they don't go to often, but also for that neighborhood to be exposed to Filipino culture. Um, and it was well received. People were so curious. When we did another market in Hochelaga as well, Jardin de la Pépinière, uh, I saw so many like young families like ask questions, non-Filipinos ask questions to like, the vendors that were there, and like, like what's in this, like where's it from, like what does it taste like, just so curious. And it's cool because there's this like exchange of culture, I guess, like
Yeah.
yeah,
Has
so
has there been like a negative experience you had when meeting someone who's potentially not Filipino, or like racism or anything like not particularly like in an event, but like growing up as well, seeing as especially when you were in like CJEP and you had like very little exposure to like other colored people. Would you have a like experience like that?
um it's crazy because you only find out that it was like racism like after the fact, right? After you're given the tools to help you like uh
Identify them.
identifying like critical thinking comes later for some reason. So yeah, for sure. When I was in CJEP, I was in my English class. We were reading a book, and there was like this medical term, and my teacher looked at me and was like, "Do you know what that means? You're in nursing." And I'm like, "I am not in nursing." Like, why did you assume that?
Assume, yeah.
And like, I giggled, but then I went home and I'm like, that was pretty fucked up. Like, why did you assume that I was in nursing? That was so weird. But I guess like recently, I think we get a lot of messages from non-Filipinos asking for like caregivers and nannies, when our page clearly states that we are not that at all,
Yeah.
And also like looking for a Filipina wife, looking for a Filipina girlfriend, and we're just like, really disrespected by it. And so yeah, I mean, like with all the good, there's also like
The
those
bad.
those
Yeah.
messages that we receive on our page. Yeah.
So how do you navigate through those messages? Because I know, like, especially when you're starting projects and you're trying to have the best interests towards the project, there's always going to be backlash and negativity. But like often that negativity brings people down, and sometimes people are like, oh, is it worth it? Is my message actually going through? So how do you like go about and dealing with these issues that are very present? And
well, we take a beat. We take a second. I think it's so natural to reply with so much anger.
Yeah.
So we let ourselves react to it first. We talk about why it makes us angry, because I think it's good, and it's a good way to process things, right? And then whoever is ready will answer it. But also like, not that it's our role to educate, but let them know like what you're doing is wrong. This is whatever the case is, right? Like whatever you're doing, this is not what we do, and the way you're thinking is whatever. Like it doesn't align, and we basically address it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know, like, especially whenever the people from here, like the very Quebecois, the Souche, a lot of people they kind of see immigrants as kind of like not uneducated, but kind of like ignorant to stuff. So they end up, walking up to people and start teaching them either French or, stuff, educating them about the history. Like it has happened to me a couple of times, and it's kind of like, it's funny where it's like, well, I mean, I'm born here, so I literally was raised the same way you are.
Yeah, you made us learn your history. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, it's fun. It's kind of interesting how, like, sometimes people are ignorant, and often enough people, especially now with the climate right now, there's a lot of people who are like are very ignorant to stuff, and they just kind of say stuff out of their their own mind without thinking, and it affects people internally. So I was curious to like see, especially because you guys are kind of like the forefront of this new wave of Filipinos who are like kind of trying to like grow into themselves as well. What would be your message to these people who are like kind of they're slowly growing, they're kind of either in the CJEP or university years and trying to like get into the world, and they have to face through this kind of ordeal?
I guess to answer your first question, or the first part of your question, we address them. We address the whatever message that we receive from these people as polite and as I don't know what the word can be, but we definitely address it to our to the best that we can, because we know that it doesn't stop with us, because if we don't answer, they will go to the next Filipino group.
Exactly.
And so if we could answer it, and answer it truthfully, and and encourage them to do better, then we've done our part, and hopefully like the next person doesn't have to go through that, the next group that receives those messages. And then your second question is what would be my advice?
Your advice to like the youth?
Find your people. Honestly, I think, in life you'll go through different friend groups. You're gonna meet different people, but find the people that like really uplift you, really hold you accountable.
Mhm.
Um, and I think like that will, for me at least, that definitely like helped me grow into the person who I am today. And that's not, this is this is, within the Filipino community, outside the community. Like this is like, I think it's very important to have people that really ground you and keep you accountable and want to see you grow. I think that's community,
Yeah.
Papua. I think that's really like the root of like it all.
Has there been an issue where realizing a project per se, like if you were like trying to plan another, I don't know, Opidko, has there been like an issue where you guys had to kind of uh either not deviate or kind of like cancel completely a project that you may,
Well,
sort
yeah,
of
we there was a project that we were supposed to, or an event that we were supposed to do not too long ago that didn't come into fruition, but it doesn't mean that it's not possible.
yeah.
I think it's a, if it's meant to be, it will be.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's always, money is always is the root of all evil.
Yeah.
And I think it was a lot of factors, but I think we've definitely learned from it. I think both parties definitely learned from it, and I think next year could be very exciting for us.
There's also another question. Like, how do you guys fund like a lot of the events that you guys do? Are you guys subsidized by the city, or are you guys kind of like doing your own, putting out of your pocket, or what's the?
Well, well, well. So we are. By the time this is aired, like I don't even know. Maybe we'll be nonprofit at the time. By that
Sure.
time, but at the moment we're still working on our nonprofit papers, and
Mhm.
because it is hard when you're not an official org, right? So right now, um, let's Pizukuhan, Olympic Park, Jardin de la Pépinière, like we were invited to host these cultural events for them at
Oh,
at their
interesting.
at their venues. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So for some, I think maybe like for depending on the venue, like we're given like a budget to work around,
Hmm.
and so everything is really community driven. Like we will pay out of pocket for a few things, but like we've launched a collaboration with Mercy House, which is a streetwear, you know and then we've started like t-shirts, and then that's like little money that we've earned for
Hmm.
the next event. But yeah, at the moment it's self-funded.
So is it like because you guys get invited, you guys reach out to these venues? Or like you? Is it word of mouth? Or how do they like get in touch with you? Is it more of
Yeah,
a?
it's a lot of well, networking, but also they've heard, I guess they've sought us out, and it's also a lot of people recommend people too.
Hmm.
I think it's really the power of community that really got us to where we are.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So you like because I know especially here in Cotonej, there's a very big Filipino community here as well.
Hmm.
Like I mean, especially like down in Victoria Street, there's like a whole
Hmm.
street of like food, and there's like the culture. You could very much see the flags everywhere. Do you guys plan on making like I know there's like cuisine de Mani, but like there's like a whole like quartier, if you will, of like a Filipino like very very focused kind of like little Italy, or Chinatown or whatever. You guys plan on like collaborating with these kind of like sort of street vendors and like private restaurants to make a whole full on borough of like Filipinos, and somewhere that everyone could like pull up and meet and eat, I don't know, chicken adobo or something, or like
You
food.
want us to open a restaurant?
Not a restaurant, but like literally like a whole
No,
like
no,
you
I'm
could
just kidding.
yeah, like seriously, like because a lot of you guys have a big platform, so it would be interesting to actually have conversations with restaurant mani, like cuisine de mani, or like other restaurants, or like the people who do like halo halo, for example, and like maybe open like a very much a big I don't know, annual, semi-annual, I don't know, like event where everyone pulls up to the community center, and everyone kind of like enjoys the food, the community, the whole the music, etc., etc. So like I don't know if you have ever sort of had discussions with with them, or?
Um, absolutely. We'd love to collaborate with not only the Côte Neige community, but like, all of the Filipino restaurants across Montreal and the greater Montreal area. Um, we, we had hoped it would happen this year, but for a lot of reasons, like it wasn't feasible. And I think next year, like I said, I don't know when this is going to air, but hopefully by the summer we could have something that's similar to your vision. So,
what was the biggest struggle? What was the biggest struggle this year for Filipinos of Montreal?
Biggest struggle.
Like, it's very much like tied to money. Is like more like the timing? Other people had other projects, whatever. I think
more for us, it's like because this is like a labor of love. We also have our actual lives, like our 9 to 5, and having to balance that is always the biggest struggle when we do this, because we want to be everywhere, everything all at once. we want to be everything, like we want to go to all of these events. We want to do all these events, but it's like we only have 24 hours in a day. We only have
7 days a week.
7 days a week. Exactly. So I think it's a lot of balancing. I think that's what we're getting better at, like balancing everything, making sure that our month is well planned. Our year is well planned. I think we did a good job not too long ago planning the upcoming year, and that's why I feel very excited for it. So I think that's always the biggest struggle for us. Everything else is we're I feel like we're able to handle.
Interesting.
That's what I like to believe. I think Terrie and I were always just like, I also, shout out to Terrie, because
shout out I wish he was here too. I wish he was here too.
I wish he was here, because when Terrie tells me like we could do it, I'm like, yeah, you tell me we could do it. Yeah, let's do it. So but we're very good at be like, I think one thing that we always tell ourselves is that being honest with each other. I think that's something that we we make sure that we do, because if this is not going to work out, we have to say it to each other. But also we're having fun with it too. Like if it's not fun, then it's not going to be fun for everyone else. So our biggest struggle is time.
That's for everybody. Has there been like a disagreement where you and Terrie had a very big disagreement where the direction of the idea, the organization, where you guys kind of like more often on the same page about stuff and just kind of like winged it in the sense that?
I think most of the times we're on the same page, and I think that's why it was so easy for us to get together 5 years ago, because I think we saw things we saw things the same. I'm trying to think. I don't think we've ever disagreed on. Oh, okay, wait. I don't know if this is gonna be off record, okay? Because I don't wanna manifest this this idea. But maybe I won't disclose the idea. But there was an idea.
Sure.
And I said no. It was probably the first time I said no, because there was a lot of reasons why I said no.
Gotcha.
And he understood those reasons, but he was like, it could be interesting, and I'm like, I don't know. But actually, no. So it wasn't really a disagreement. I think. I don't know. I don't know how bad he wanted that. Maybe not bad enough, because he didn't really fight for that idea. So,
has there been like what was like the most ambitious project you guys kind of tackled? You guys have
this entire project is probably the most ambitious thing we've ever done.
Fair enough. I mean, like, because it's like because you say you plan a year, right? You plan a year ahead, so you kind of have like you have small projects here and there, but you have big events that you guys are planning. Like, has there been an issue? Well, I'm guessing if it's like that much, that much of a big deal. Has there been like an instance where you guys have like booked an event, and like in hindsight, you went, "How the hell did we get this event?"
I think it was Olympic Park, because after we did Pizukuha, we were like, I think we were just like, yo, Olympic Park next year, as a just, we were just
Yeah.
like, like, we did this, you could do Olympic Park or whatever. And then when we're slowly making the connection for Olympic Park, we went to our first meeting with Les Silvernal, the people that handle First Fridays. I was just like, shit, we're doing Olympic Park. Just so cool. And when we got to Olympic Park, that was like, yeah, that was pretty cool, and then seeing people come in, and seeing people line up to the different vendors. We also had like the Filipino Heritage Society also there. Like, we wanted to make sure that it was very intergenerational. So it was really, yeah, that was like I can't believe we did this. But also, that's me like at every event.
That's a good thing.
It's cool, like, cause we definitely did not see this happen for us. So when it does happen, it's just like, yeah, this is really cool.
What were your parents' reaction to Filipinos of Montreal? Were they all about it, or were they kind of like skeptical and kind of like, do you really know what you're doing? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That it was very much that. Like, I think my parents were very fearful. They were just like, what if people say this? What if people say that? And a lot of like, they know like your family knows.
Yeah,
these
everyone
people,
knows
blah,
each
blah,
other.
blah.
Yeah.
And I was just like, there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm moving, I'm not moving with malice in me. Like, I genuinely want to get to know people, right? And we're not trying to replace anyone. We just want to be an addition to what there is, and I think that's really cool that we could all coexist and do different events. Like, there was in June having like all these different events happening at the same time. That's so cool. Like, people have choices now, like you could go here, or you could go there, like whatever is more convenient to you. And whichever has your favorite restaurant. Like, I don't know, like whatever. I don't know. And I think they see that like it's bringing a lot of people together. It's bringing they saw like their friends that they had not seen in a long time, or like them inviting their friends to our events. I think it's so cool. Like, my parents have been to almost all of our events, and it's really cool to have their support for sure. Yeah.
Nice. Has there been a special guest or a sort of vendor that you've had on one of the events that you were kind of like, wow, they're actually here?
I know you're gonna be tired of me saying this, but it's like literally everyone. I'm just like, oh, cool. Like, when Chris and Demani came to Pizukuha, like, that's cool. Like, they're like a staple at on Victoria.
Yeah.
For them to come out here, that's pretty cool for them to make time. I think like every artist that comes to our event too, I think that's really cool.
Do you reach out to them, or they reach out to you, and if they want to be?
It's a bit of both. It's a bit of both. And it's cool that people want to be a part of it. We had someone email us not too long ago saying that like, they were coming from out of town, and if we had an event, like, they'd love to perform. And we're like, sick, we don't have any events going on, but like, it's cool that you want to do this, like, so like getting that reception from people is really like, the reception is really cool.
That's sick.
Yeah.
That's sick. Do you guys have like a number of events that you guys plan for the year, or you kind of like whatever happens?
That used to be us. Be us. Like, whatever happens. And I used to be against it because I'm like,
yeah, because
like, how do we plan?
Because it gives you more of a motivation to give you, like, if you give yourself a number, like, I don't know, one every 3 months or one every 4 months, have something.
Exactly. Well, thanks to our expanded team now, so we're a team of 5. We were we sat down not too long ago to plan our entire year, and then the events that we want to do, and obviously our Filipino Heritage series that is probably the most like solidified thing in our calendar, and then a big market to end the summer.
Yeah.
So that's definitely what you could expect from us almost every year. And then we started like these like little R&B nights because Filipinos love R&B.
Karaoke especially. they
Yeah,
want
exactly,
to sing their own songs.
exactly. So yeah, I think that could evolve in the next few years. Who knows?
Are you planning an event maybe at La Ronde?
I mean, everything is possible, it seems.
That'd be sick. That would actually be sick. You've actually nailed La Ronde. You've done it all.
Is that like your, if you made it to La Ronde, like you made it?
Like if like in the music venue, it's Oshiaga, and like the most entertaining thing, if you're a part of La Ronde, is like a big thing because that's like the biggest attraction, if you will, for like younger people. But yeah, it'd be super sick because like you during fireworks season, that'd be kind of nice as well. You'll be literally there where the fireworks are being shot up. So then like it ends the night with like the big fireworks, and then like imagine like the flag, the flag colors go up.
I mean, when it happens, Daryl, I will find you and be like,
let me know.
This is happening for you.
Unfortunately, because I work at the Olympic Park, but I only work during the weekends. But the thing is, because you guys did it on a Friday, and I was working early on the Saturday, so I couldn't get in there.
Damn. You know what? It's funny you ask like what would be our. I think at the moment we'd love to take over the entire Olympic Park because we had the
L'Esplanade.
We had that corner, which was like logistically like it was great,
the best.
But if we could get all of the Filipino restaurants to participate and occupy the main space and have our performers perform in the main stage, I think that would be awesome. And I think
I would say because I know like I work inside, performance inside is not the best because of the acoustics.
No, I mean like the not the main stage as in like inside the Olympic Park, but the main area of
okay, yeah. Well, because the thing is, like, outside we kind of nice because like inside you just hear a bunch of echo. It's, like, the biggest pain in the ass. But like, but
a Filipino, basically a Filipino festival. I think if we could do that, I think that's one of our goals. Eventually get to the point where we could do a Filipino festival.
Yeah, are you guys planning a Filipino festival anytime soon? Like next year, 2025, 2024.
Well, I mean, I guess we'll have to. We'll see.
That'd be sick. That'll also be sick. Especially have like a bunch of creators have their own like specialties. So like maybe a movie or maybe like a song or whatever. Like have a whole thing.
You know what? I think we are so we're so inspired and driven by people's support that it's definitely going to happen in the near future. I think there's like a desire for it. There's like a hunger for it. Like people want to be a part of it so bad, and we all want to, right? And when you have that, like for sure, like things will happen because people want it to happen, I believe.
Have you guys had feedback from the main? It's fine. Have you ever guys had feedback from the motherland? Because I know because I've
interesting. No, we haven't really had.
Because Chopin had a little like I don't know if you like Chopin was like the Filipino documentary that I was a part of honorably, and it was
the great documentary that you were a part of.
Yeah, amazing people were in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there were kind of like people from the mainland. I was also interviewing Denise. Shout out Den.
Shout out Den.
So like I'm curious if the Filipinos of Montreal actually reached that far.
We haven't had any word from anyone from the Philippines. We we do have contacts at the embassy, the Filipino embassy in Canada, and they were invited to come to our event also, but they obviously the ambassadors, she's very busy, but
yeah, time.
we have their support. Yeah, good people. So
it's like,
that's the closest thing to the motherland, if you will.
Yeah, because like, that'd be crazy if one day there would be like actual performers from the Philippines that would come over.
Listen, anything is possible, Darrow.
Is it a foreshadowing? Is this like low key?
I don't want to promise anything, but I truly believe like anything is. It seems like anything is possible. I mean, every year we're surprised by the things that we're capable of doing. And I love that feeling because I'm proven wrong every year.
Yeah. And you're like, wow, my expectations just went higher and higher and higher.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. So who knows? Who knows?
So
you just have to come to our events, Darrow.
Yeah, I would love to if it's online with my schedule, unfortunately and stuff. But I mean, what was I saying? Oh yeah, were you ever part of the Focus community?
So Focus was started by my good sis or my sisters, Chloe Palanca. So Chloe and I, we went to.
It's Kyla's sister, right?
Yes, Kyla's sister. Yeah. We went to Pinoys on Parliament together.
Oh, sick!
And so I'm very proud of her. She's part of the Filipinos of Montreal team now. She started Focus with my actual sister, Shana, and they built a great team that really instilled like the whole connectivity challenge and celebrate to the next generation of Focus leaders. And I think they're doing excellent work. I try to go to their events because it's so they're so fun.
Yeah,
and, being someone from a graduate from Concordia, exactly, you just wanna I missed out.
Were you there? Were you there last? Was it not Christmas? There was like a Christmas event last year. Were you there?
I don't.
What was it there's a festival because last year it wasn't the showcase of the film. It was the year after that, so it was like a whole like actual festival thing.
I forget, but
yeah.
I love every single one of those people. Like I'm a big fan of what Focus does. I'm a big fan of any Filipino student group because I think it takes a lot to start a club. It takes a lot to get people together and putting yourself out there. Like you're dealing with school, you're dealing with your undergrad, trying to figure out life, and then you also have a club to manage and so I have so much respect for those people. And again, being a graduate from Concordia, you're so proud to see something like that on campus. So
was this always your kind of like, I guess not inner calling, but like your ambition, or was you just fell into it and kind of like to represent a community?
I think community has always been a big thing in my life. Whether it's basketball, whether it's a church community, whether it's the Filipino community. But I think, and I was reflecting on this not too long ago, but I think, storytelling has always been like something that I've always loved. Whether it's film, podcast, or just conversations like this, and I think I always find myself in a field or in something where I'm recounting a story or I'm holding people's stories, and I'm happy with what I'm doing now for sure, and I'm happy I get to do that.
Would you see it as a career avenue, or like being an actual organizer and like actually be, seeing as you guys are doing like not like now it's relatively new, but like eventually, once everyone kind of gets grasp over like generations, who knows, this could be like a very, very big thing where it's like publicly sort of, instilled into the city. So it's like every Filipino Heritage Month is a festival where Filipinos of Montreal have like I don't know, the first week of whatever, and then there's a big payoff in the end. So yeah,
I'd love for that. I'd love for Filipinos of Montreal to be my full-time job for sure. And I think we're doing the steps for that to happen in the future. I have no doubt about it for sure. And if this could be part of the Montreal landscape or whatever,
mm-hmm.
we did it, and we like to think about Filipinos of Montreal, not for us, but for the next generation,
mm-hmm.
the next generation to profit off of and benefit from. So listen, Daryl, from your lips to God's ears. So that would be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious, if you could shoot for the moon, you have all the resources possible. What would be your dream idealistic scenario?
I'm such a simple girl.
We're all simple at heart, but we all have big dreams.
Oh, wow. I don't know.
Even personally, I'm not necessarily about Filipino Montreal, but just personally, what would be your kind of ideal scenario?
Someone instilled in my heart, asked me this simple question, and I've been reflecting on it a lot. I haven't made the proper steps for it yet, but someone was like, yeah, you love films. What about doing a Filipino Canadian festival? Film festival.
Why not?
Film festival. And I'm just like, that's amazing. Yeah, I'd love to do that. And this was in passing. It was a simple question, but then I was like, yeah, why not? And I think I need to actively learn the steps, what it entails to do a film festival.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys already have a foot in the door with Concordia, and Concordia does Fantasia. So I don't know if you guys could collaborate, or potentially maybe book Cinema Zupak every single specific day or whatever.
I feel like yeah,
and then have people feature whatever films they have, especially if they're it'd be nice to have it international or at least national, because if it would be solely Filipinos of Montreal, it's kind of
Well, I didn't say Filipinos of Montreal. I said Filipino Canadian Festival. So I mean, if I had the time, if I had and I was gonna say resources, but I think if there's a will, there's a way, and I think that's something that I'd like to do or be a part of. So who knows?
Interesting. And finally, to wrap off, any projects you'd like to announce soon from Filipinos of Montreal? Anything coming out? Halloween party, perhaps? Christmas party, perhaps? I don't know.
Well, hopefully, I don't know when this is when does this air, Daryl?
It's probably in the end of October.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So actually, Halloween.
Okay, so we're not doing a Halloween party. I'm sorry to tell you. But we are doing a winter holiday market. So the details are still fizzy at the moment. That's why I'm like,
let's not jinx it. That's fine. Let's not jinx
it. Yeah, we're manifesting that it's gonna happen. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have a winter holiday market coming up end of November, maybe beginning of December. We'll see. But we definitely wanna the point of the markets when we started doing markets, especially it was after the pandemic. People, during the pandemic, people were starting their own businesses. They monetized their hobbies, and this this was a way for them to actually meet the people that were buying their stuff.
Yeah.
Because not everyone will have a store or whatever, and it's cool, supporting local businesses, and you get cute stuff, at a decent price, and you get to support your fellow Filipinos here in Montreal. So yeah, so you could buy your gifts at the market. You could send them in your balikbayan box.
Sick. Do you guys? By the way, do you guys plan on doing any events at the Pas des Arts?
Oh wait, sorry. That is actually that is actually. So when I said Filipino Festival, I totally forgot. that it was that Place des Arts is actually the location.
The location, yeah, exactly. Wow.
That's like that's something we'd love to do because I mean we have Afromon that happens there. We have Francophonie that happens there as well. So, I mean, why not bring the Filipino community to Place des Arts? So
absolutely, it'd be sick.
yeah,
Everyone would be eating all day and all night.
Exactly. That whole quartier, you're just eating.
All right, perfect. This has been a NewCrown podcast. My name is Daryl, and thank you for my lovely guest. And stay tuned for the next episode for another guest of honor. So see you guys next time.